Welcome to the fascinating world of Greek mythology and have fun with ME for Smart Learning.
Pandora, the wrath of Zeus weighed heavily upon the world. In the days of the Golden Age, humans lived carefreely and in peace, largely untroubled by the caprices of the gods. However, Prometheus, the daring titan, disrupted this harmony. Through his cunning, the sacred flame of Olympus, fire, was bestowed upon mortals. With this gift, they could forge weapons, cultivate their fields, and, most concerning of all, assert their independence from the gods. This audacious act only intensified Zeus's fury, prompting him to devise a plan to punish both humanity and the intrepid Prometheus. "The people," declared Zeus, his voice resonating like thunder, "must grasp that every gift bestowed upon them by the gods carries a price. It is time for them to acknowledge the shadows of existence, the suffering that lies in wait behind the light." He summoned all the gods of Olympus to him for an assembly of the immortals, their eyes glowing with curiosity and awe at the wrath of their king. Hera, who always reveled in her husband's plans, listened quietly. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, cast a thoughtful glance at her father, while Hephaestus, the skilled smith, awaited his lord's words with keen attention. Hermes' mouth twitched with silent anticipation as he lingered in the shadows, as if he had long foreseen what was to come. Zeus's voice pierced the silence of Olympus like a bolt of lightning illuminating the heavens. "We shall create a new being, a woman whose beauty and grace will ensnare the hearts of mortals. She will serve as the instrument of my will, the key to atoning for Prometheus's fire and to subduing humanity." The gods inclined their heads in reverence, as if already paying homage to the inescapable fate. "This woman," Zeus continued, "will be the source of all suffering. She will bear a gift that appears valuable and precious at first glance, yet in truth conceals all that will bring mankind sorrow and pain. A box filled with evils previously unknown to the world, illness, death, envy, and misery. However, within it will also be hidden a final spark of hope that sustains humanity, even as everything else around them crumbles." The gods nodded, a mix of admiration for Zeus's cunning and silent horror at the enormity of his scheme. Prometheus had gifted fire to humanity, yet Zeus was resolute in his intent to envelop them in darkness. The creation of Pandora. The gods of Olympus gathered in the radiant glow of the heavenly halls, each poised to play their part in Zeus's sinister scheme. At the command of the father of the gods, Hephaestus, the divine smith, stepped forward. His hands, as strong as the iron he forged, worked with unparalleled precision. From the clay of the earth, mingled with water, he sculpted the body of Pandora. Her skin was soft and flawless, her form as graceful as the first light of dawn. Under his skilled hands, she took shape, a woman whose beauty eclipsed that of any who had ever walked the earth. Hephaestus smiled briefly as he crafted her delicate mouth, fully aware that this exquisite creation would be both a blessing and a curse. Next, Athena stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with the brilliance of wisdom. She delicately placed her fingers on Pandora's forehead and imparted the gift of insight to her. Her thoughts would be incisive, her actions more adept than those of any mortal. Athena also granted her the mastery of weaving, a representation of divine authority, a talent that had the power to turn chaos into harmony. Yet even within wisdom resided a potential for destruction, for knowledge could prove to be as much a curse as a blessing. Then Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, approached Pandora. She breathed in the intoxicating scent of passion that emanated from Pandora, rendering her utterly irresistible. Her skin glimmered like the dawn over serene seas, and her eyes sparkled as if each glance could ensnare the heart of a mortal. Beauty and desire were to be her weapons, yet simultaneously they opened the door to jealousy and greed. Hermes, the cunning messenger of the gods, finally stepped forward and bestowed upon Pandora an even more subtle gift, the art of deception, flattery, and guile. With a playful smile, he touched her lips, ensuring that her words would flow as sweetly as honey, even when they concealed false promises. People would place their trust in her, oblivious to the lurking dangers hidden beneath her gentle voice. As Zeus finally beheld her, he recognized the brilliance of his design. This woman possessed an exquisite beauty, yet she was more perilous than any weapon. Within her resided the gifts of the mightiest gods, but it was precisely these gifts that would lead humanity to its downfall. Perfectly crafted yet imbued with the seeds of disaster, she was the catalyst that would irrevocably transform the realm of mortals. Pandora, the all-gifted, was poised to assume her role in history. Zeus beamed with satisfaction at his creation. While the work was complete, the pivotal moment, the presentation of the ominous box, still lay ahead. The gift of the box and the prohibition, the completed Pandora stood before the gods in her exquisite beauty, unaware that she had become the instrument of a cruel plan. Her eyes sparkled with innocence as her fingers gently brushed over the fabric of her freshly woven garment. Zeus scrutinized her creation with a gaze that conveyed both pride and contempt. Yet something vital was still absent, the gift that would unleash all evil upon the world. Zeus summoned Hermes to him, the messenger of the gods, whose steps were always light and swift like the wind. In his hands, Hermes held a heavy, intricately decorated box, sealed and mysterious. The vessel shimmered in the dim light of Olympus, its surface adorned with ominous symbols that hinted at the horror it contained. "Take this box, Hermes," said Zeus, his voice calm yet imbued with authority. "Deliver it to Pandora and instruct her to handle this gift with utmost care. She must never break the seal under any circumstances. This is my directive, and she will pass it on to humanity." In his eyes shone a quiet satisfaction, for he was aware of humanity's inherent weakness, their insatiable curiosity. Hermes accepted the box with a knowing nod, yet within his cunning smile flickered a glimmer of joy at the game Zeus had initiated. He relished the thrill of being part of a scheme with an outcome that appeared all but certain. With swift strides, he made his way down from the celestial halls and delivered the box to Pandora. As she stood before him, Hermes regarded her with that playful glint that frequently confounds mortals. "A gift from the gods, Pandora," he declared, presenting her with the sealed vessel. "It is entrusted to you, but heed this warning. Zeus himself has explicitly forbidden you from ever lifting the lid of this box. The contents are not intended for mortal eyes." Pandora regarded the box with a tumult of emotions swirling within her. The curiosity ignited by Hermes burned fiercely, like an insatiable wildfire. What secrets lay hidden within this meticulously sealed vessel? For now she chose silence, offering only a polite nod. Her fingers tightened around the handles of the box, and an involuntary shiver coursed down her spine. She could almost sense the formidable power slumbering within its confines. Hermes bid farewell and vanished as swiftly as he had arrived, leaving Pandora with the box and the weight of the prohibition. At that moment, she had no idea that this small vessel would irrevocably alter the fate of all humanity. Yet, in Zeus's heart, the conviction grew that it was only a matter of time before the insidious curiosity would prevail over Pandora's virtue. The gift of the box and the prohibition, the days went by, and Pandora now resided alongside Epimetheus, the brother of the crafty Prometheus. Despite Prometheus's earnest warnings never to accept gifts from the gods, Epimetheus fell victim to Pandora's allure. Her beauty, elegance, and essence had ensnared his heart in a heartbeat. He took her as his wife, oblivious to the imminent peril that she harbored within her possession. The sealed box, a divine gift, stood untouched in its resting place. Yet the longer Pandora lingered in its presence, the more an indescribable feeling swelled within her. It started as a mere whisper in her mind, gradually transforming into an insatiable curiosity that intensified with each passing hour. What secrets lay concealed within this seemingly ordinary vessel, which bore such a stringent prohibition? Why was she, crafted by the very hands of the gods, denied the knowledge of its contents? Was it not her right to uncover the mysteries that had been withheld from her? Epimetheus was unaware of the inner turmoil that Pandora was experiencing. Each day he tenderly reminded her of Zeus's words, "Never open the box, my dear. We have all we need without delving into its mysteries." He spoke with a gentle smile, and in his eyes shone an innocent contentment that appeared to ease the urgency of his caution. But Pandora's heart was already in turmoil. She felt the throbbing of temptation growing beneath the surface of her thoughts like an unquenchable flame. Each time her gaze fell upon the box, it seemed to beckon her, promising to unveil its secret as if it were destined solely for her. How many times had she held the box in her hands, her fingers delicately tracing the sealed vessel, while she battled the overwhelming urge to lift the lid. Her thoughts incessantly circled around the prohibition that wrapped itself like an invisible chain around her mind. What could the gods have concealed within it? She pondered repeatedly. Could it be yet another gift? Perhaps even a power that has been denied to mortals until now? Something that would elevate me above the others? Or might it be something that could aid humanity? The more she contemplated, the more her curiosity evolved. What had started as simple interest morphed into an insatiable thirst for knowledge, a yearning she could no longer dismiss. So Pandora fought with herself day after day. She knew that the gods had meant their warning seriously, and yet she felt that her fate was inextricably linked to this box. Every breath reminded her that she, created by the powers of Olympus, was not like ordinary people. Perhaps she was the only one who was up to the secret of the gods. With each sunrise, the tension within her intensified, and the struggle between obedience and desire consumed her thoughts. The gods' decree felt suffocating, yet Pandora's curiosity, ignited by the gods themselves, swelled with every heartbeat. Time seemed to freeze as she stared into the night's darkness, where the box glimmered in the soft light of the moon, unyielding, sealed, and brimming with mysteries. The opening of the box and the release of suffering. It was a tranquil morning when the inevitable hour approached. Epimetheus had ventured out to the fields to engage in light tasks, leaving Pandora alone within the confines of their home. Inside, an unsettling silence enveloped the space, broken only by the gentle rustle of the wind weaving through the trees. In this haunting stillness, it felt as though the box was summoning her, a soft whisper that beckoned her nearer. Once more, her gaze settled on the sealed vessel, and this time an overwhelming compulsion urged her to draw closer. "Just a quick glance," she whispered to herself, her voice barely more than a breath. "Just a fleeting glimpse of what the gods have concealed. No one will ever know." Her hand trembled as she reached for the lid. The cool metal sent a shiver racing down her spine. Once more, Zeus's warning echoed in her mind, but she had already ventured too far to turn back now. The curiosity that had lain dormant within her for so long ignited at that moment into a fire that consumed all reason. With a swift breath, she lifted the lid of the box, and in the next instant, every trace of silence, every whisper of peace had vanished. A piercing howl, a storm of invisible forces erupted from the box and swirled through the air like a furious tempest, pushing with all its might into the world. Pandora stumbled back, horrified and speechless, as dark shadows surged from the box and ascended into the sky with unrestrained fury. One by one, the evils that had been confined within the box until that moment broke free. Illness, death, pain, sorrow, hatred. Everything that humanity had never encountered before unfolded relentlessly and shockingly before Pandora's eyes. The sky darkened ominously as malevolence spread in all directions, poised to torment humankind and irrevocably shatter the Golden Age. Pandora's heart raced as she became acutely aware of the weight of her actions. Her hands, having just lifted the lid of the box, trembled with trepidation. She longed to scream, yet her throat felt constricted, ensnared by a tumult of guilt and disbelief. The biting wind that had surged forth with the malevolence seemed to envelop the world in an ominous, dark era. "What have I done?" Her voice was barely a whisper, yet the haunting echo of her words lingered in the void surrounding her. What she had unleashed in a moment of curiosity was irreversible. Pandora could only stand by helplessly as malevolence seeped into the world, altering it for all time. At the moment of greatest horror, Pandora's gaze fell upon the box, and she felt an overwhelming urge to press the lid down onto it as if she could somehow halt the impending storm. But it was too late. The box was empty, or nearly so. With trembling hands, Pandora closed the box, yet the irrevocable harm had already been inflicted. The dark shadows of suffering had dispersed into the winds, and the world was now engulfed in a state of unparalleled anguish. Where once peace and security had flourished, illness, fear, and death slithered like unseen serpents across the earth. Pandora sank to her knees, clutching the box tightly, as if she could keep the last of the power she had unleashed under control. Tears filled her eyes. So this was the gift of the gods, the supposed gift that promised so much hope. But all she had brought into the world was despair. The air around her was heavy, almost palpable in her newly awakened fear. "What have I done?" Her voice was a faint whisper, swallowed by the howling wind that bore the weight of unleashed malevolence. Her heart felt burdened with guilt, and a single thought echoed relentlessly in her mind. She had obliterated everything. But at that moment, when everything seemed lost, Pandora perceived something. A faint, barely audible tapping that seemed to come from the box. She hesitated to open the lid again, fearing that even more calamity might escape into the world. But the quiet, persistent tapping called to her. It was not the furious rage of the evil that had escaped before, but rather a gentle heartbeat that pleaded for release. With a deep breath, Pandora cautiously opened the lid, this time just a tiny crack. From the depths of the box, a delicate, shimmering light emerged. It was neither a plague nor another evil destined to inflict further suffering upon humanity. It was hope, fragile, almost breakable, yet unwavering. It was the last remnant in the box after everything else had escaped. Pandora held her breath as the light of hope streamed into the world, gently descending upon the suffering earth and enveloping humanity. Hope was the force that allowed mortals to persevere, despite the countless trials that lay ahead. Without hope, pain would be unbearable, and darkness would be everywhere. Yet with hope, no matter how small, there is always a reason to keep going. Pandora, still burdened by guilt, realized at that moment that she had not only unleashed suffering, but also the sole source of redemption. The gods, no matter how cruel their plan had been, had at least granted humanity this solace. The tears streaming down her cheeks now mingled with a flicker of relief. From this moment on, the world would be irrevocably changed, filled with suffering and loss. Yet, the hope that lingered last in the box provided people with a means to persevere, even in the bleakest of times. Pandora slowly lowered the box and rose. She was no longer the innocent being that the gods had fashioned. In her eyes, the realization dawned that she had unwittingly played a troubling role in the fate of humanity. Yet within this fate resided a peculiar, bitter-sweet grace. The new state of the world. When the evils escaped from the box into the world, the earth underwent an irrevocable transformation. What was once referred to as the Golden Age, a time characterized by peace, innocence, and abundance, now belonged to the past. The people who had previously lived like gods beneath the clear sky found themselves suddenly overwhelmed by sorrow and pain. Their once flawless skin began to wither under the burden of diseases. Their hearts, which had known only joy, were now besieged by fear and anxiety. Pandora's deed had cast the world into darkness. Initially, It was the illness that devastated the body and weakened the populace. They had once enjoyed perfect health, unburdened by the weight of age or decay. Yet now they were afflicted by fever, tormented by pains that surged through their limbs, and haunted daily by the agonies of dying. Death, which had previously seemed remote and unfamiliar, now walked among them, claiming their loved ones. In addition to the illness, envy and resentment arose, poisoning the human heart. Where harmony had once thrived, enmity and discord now flourished. Brothers turned against one another, and friends became foes. Their souls, once pure and innocent, were now shrouded in darkness, and the once unbreakable bonds of trust began to unravel. Finally, death arrived, the cruelest of all afflictions. The figure, once merely a distant shadow who had never found his place in the world, now took on a tangible form. Humanity came to understand the profound sorrow of losing those they cherished, laying their bodies to rest on the earth and awaiting the inevitable day when they, too, would be engulfed by this darkness. The fields that once yielded fruit effortlessly now required relentless toil and sweat. What had previously been simple and untroubled had transformed into an ongoing struggle. People were compelled to labor for their survival, to till the soil, and to grapple with the forces of nature. The comfort and opulence of the Golden Age had faded into a mere memory. Yet amidst this new, harsh existence, a flicker of hope sustained humanity. Although pain was omnipresent and suffering enveloped the people, there was an enduring force that compelled them to persevere. Hope, the final gift from Pandora's box. It served as a gentle solace, a beacon in the shadows. This hope imparted the lesson that after every tempest, the sun could once more illuminate the sky. It was this hope that instilled in them the courage to forge ahead, despite the anguish that life now imposed. Pandora herself became the embodiment of this transformation. Once merely a tool of the gods, she now carried the weight of her own actions. However, she recognized that she had not only unleashed destruction, but also ignited a spark of resilience. People would endure suffering indeed, but they would never surrender. The world had irrevocably changed, filled with pain yet also brimming with strength that emerged from confronting adversity. The gods on Olympus watched this new era from a secure distance. Zeus had exacted his vengeance upon humanity, yet he too understood that hope, the ultimate gift, was an unexpected blessing. For while malevolence tormented mankind, it was hope that sustained them and fortified their hearts. The earth, which had once shone with a golden glow, is now a world of survival. Yet within this struggle lies the strength to overcome suffering. People can no longer live carelessly. Instead, they will evolve and grow stronger. Their hearts will be tested by evil, and hope will provide them with the courage to persevere even in the face of death. The role of hope, deep in the darkness that now enveloped the world, something small and delicate glimmered. Hope. It was the only thing that had remained in Pandora's box, but it carried the greatest significance. Although the evils had descended upon humanity like relentless storms, hope persisted as a quiet force that prevented their hearts from being completely shattered. Hope was not a tangible gift, as the offerings of the other gods had been. It was neither visible nor obvious, yet it resided deep within each person, like an invisible thread linking them to the future. As illness, death, and sorrow afflicted humanity, and as they struggled under the burdens of life, it was hope that enabled them to persevere. It was hope that whispered to them that after every day of darkness, a new morning would dawn. It was the force that compelled them to rise, even when the world around them appeared to be crumbling. Hope, as elusive as it was, held a power that even the gods could not anticipate. For it was not merely a simple gift, but an unbreakable connection between people and their potential. The people who now had to endure death and suffering discovered a renewed sense of hope. They understood that life was fraught with pain and that death was unavoidable. Yet hope softly spoke to them of brighter days. of a light shimmering beyond the horizon that bestowed upon them the strength to persevere, even when the end felt distant. Pandora herself began to recognize the true meaning of this final gift. In her deep guilt and despair at having changed the world so profoundly, hope resided within her, offering a gentle comfort. She saw the people who laughed despite the hardships they faced, who loved and who brought new lives into this world, knowing that these lives would also experience suffering. Hope was what kept humanity in motion, the belief that beyond the pain there was always a reason to continue living and to keep fighting. The gods, gazing down from Olympus upon this new world, recognized that humanity had not fallen victim to the evils unleashed by Pandora. They observed that people were growing stronger, learning to cope with illness, and embracing death not as an end, but as an integral part of their existence. The evils had indeed shaped them, yet it was hope that empowered them to endure as a species. Zeus himself, who had sent the evils as punishment, could not help but feel a twinge of respect for this small, fragile force that granted humanity more strength than any divine gift ever could. Hope was a gift that even he, the father of the gods, had underestimated in his severity. In this new world, where the golden age had faded into oblivion and people fought daily against plagues, hope had become the guiding light. It guided their hearts and kept them upright. As long as hope lived within them, they held the possibility of overcoming the darkness. It was hope that enabled people to carry on despite the heavy burden of life, and in it lay the true strength of their resilient mortal nature. Pandora, the first woman, had opened the box and plunged humanity into suffering. Yet she had also left behind hope, and that was the greatest gift she could ever give.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this part of our audiobook. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to hear more, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future chapters.